Welcome. My name is Brandon Wendell, and I am a Master Instructor with Online Trading Academy. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you volume and open interest as it relates to the futures contracts in the derivative market. Most traders are very aware of things such as volume and how volume works in order to sustain trends, but they're not quite as aware as to what's called open interest. When we're dealing with derivative contracts, unlike shares which have a set number of stocks that are issued by a company, open interest can actually fluctuate and change with the contracts and the interest in that particular contract. What happens is that when someone sells a contract, they sell to a buyer. And if I'm that buyer, we will say I'm a new buyer, which means I have no position in this futures contract whatsoever. I could actually buy this contract from several different people. One of these people could be a new seller. That means that this contract did not exist prior to this transaction occurring. What would happen is this seller creates a new contract and sells it to me. That means that volume will go up by one contract, and also open interest will rise by one contract, as this is the total number of contracts actually being traded at that moment. Well, there's another thing that could happen. What if this were an old seller? This is someone who already owned a futures contract and has decided to exit their position for whatever reason. Well, what they do then is they are simply transferring that ownership to me. The volume would still rise by one contract because that is one contract being traded. However, open interest would not change. We have not created a new contract. We have simply transferred ownership of a current contract to someone else. Well, we could also have something going on where I was actually buying, but I was buying to close out a previous contract that I once had. I was the old owner of a contract. I buy from an old seller. I am closing my contract. This person is closing theirs as well. And what happens now? Well, volume still goes up by one, but in this case, open interest would decline by one contract as we both have offset and removed these contracts from the market. So understanding open interest can be very, very crucial when you're looking at trends and whether or not these trends are likely to continue. Let's say we are in a trend. It doesn't matter if it's up or down. Typically, people are very used to looking at volume, and when volume is increasing, they believe that, rightfully so, the trend will usually increase. But when we're dealing with derivatives such as futures or even options, we must also pay attention to the open interest. And if open interest is increasing with volume increasing, that trend is likely to continue as there is more volume and more interest in that contract continuing that trend. However, if we see that volume is increasing while open interest is decreasing, that is actually showing us that people are exiting from their contracts, and therefore the trend might actually be in a bit of trouble. Well, if we see that volume is decreasing and open interest is still going up, we may also see that same signal. There are fewer and fewer people who are actually transacting, but overall the interest is increasing just slightly. That's a sign that your trend is in a bit of trouble. And of course, lastly, if volume is decreasing and we have a decrease in open interest, we are having an exodus from these contracts. Once again, your trend is in trouble. So if you are going long or short, it does not matter. What you want to see is in the trend you are currently trading, you typically have an increase in volume and an increase in open interest. That may be one of the warning signs that you need to make sure you have successful trades. My name is Brandon Wendell, and once again, I'm an instructor with Online Trading Academy. I hope to see you again soon.